Let's meditate for a few minutes. Okay, we'll start. The schedule today will be the same as yesterday, and then we'll have 2 breaks. And then tomorrow I'll try to make it shorter, so I know that many people have to get back home. We were speaking about Jesus. He had been taken, his hands tied behind his back to the fortress, Antonia fortress of the Roman Empire's troops. And the Roman governor, military governor, has been asked to decide on his case. He must be considered important if the governor, on the day before the biggest holiday of the year, has agreed to hear his case, especially. And Pontius Pilate has questioned him and then gone back outside to the people assembled there, the religious authorities who have accused Jesus, and he says, I don't find any fault in this man, good man. Actually, Pontius Pilate is thinking hard. He knows Jesus has a lot of support among the poor people, especially. And if he kills him with thousands of extra strong Jewish people in the city for the holiday, there could be a major uprising. On the other hand, if he doesn't kill him, then the council of elders who control the people also will start to work against him. And so he's looking for a way out. And people in the crowd cry out, he's not a good man. He's been stirring up the people all the way from Galilee in the north down to Jerusalem. Pilate says, Galilee? He's from Galilee? The people say, yes. He says, not my jurisdiction. Herod the Great, the king, who died shortly after Jesus was born, was incredibly cruel and powerful. He actually killed most of his own family because he became very paranoid in his old age. He's also the one who killed all the young boys in the area where Jesus was born because he had spoken to the 3 kings and the wise men and received information that a king might be born to compete with him. He had 2 surviving sons. One is called Herod Antipas, one is Herod Philip, and the Roman emperor has such he believes in Herod's power so much that he has allowed Herod to pass the kingdom on by inheritance, and it has been split into 4 parts. Herod Antipas controls the north, Galilee included. Herod Philip controls the northeast, to the east of the Jordan River. A son named Archelaus was given the jewel Jerusalem and Judea, the large central province, and a sister was given some small lands on the ocean and near the Jerusalem. Archelaus was such a cruel ruler that he was shortly overthrown by the Jewish people, especially in Jerusalem, and the Romans have sent a military governor named Pontius Pilate to take his place. Bad luck or good luck for Jesus, the Herod Antipas is in town for the holidays. He has a separate huge palace on the western side of the city. And so Pontius Pilate makes a quick decision to send Jesus to Herod Antipas, the king of Galilee. This is a very bad turn of events. Herod Antipas has inherited the cruelty of his father. He has taken his brother's own wife, Herod Philip's wife, and committed adultery with her and is living with her in his palace. There's a holy man from the desert named John who baptizes many people, so they call him John the Baptist. He criticizes the king openly for his misconduct. John lives in the desert. He's like a crazy man. He dresses in the skins of wild animals. He eats grasshoppers to live. And he sucks the juice from carob trees. And he teaches the people about virtue and goodness. And eventually Herod Antipas decides he should be imprisoned. He keeps him in prison for almost 15 months, I think. And then one night his illegal wife's daughter, Salome, performs an erotic dance for the king, and he is so pleased he offers her anything she wishes, even half the kingdom. She asks her mother, "What should I ask for?" She says, "Ask for John the Baptist's head on a silver plate." Herod Antipas actually seems to be sort of getting along with John, but he keeps his promise, and the John's head is delivered to the daughter. So Jesus is walking into a very dangerous man's home. Jesus himself has criticized Herod Antipas, called him an old fox, and it's a very dangerous place to go. Herod is as paranoid as his father. He thinks Jesus is, he believes that John the Baptist's spirit has entered Jesus. He believes that Jesus has John's power inside him. So Jesus is led through town, dragged by the Roman troops, who are themselves extremely violent and frustrated, and they are afraid because of the masses of people in town who hate them. Everyone's uptight, everyone's nervous, tension. They drag him to Herod Antipas. Herod says, I've heard about you a lot. I want you to perform some miracles for me. I heard you can do miracles. Let me see a few. Jesus refuses to say a word. Herod tells his soldiers to beat Jesus. They beat him. He won't speak. He refuses to speak. Herod laughs, says, you're a joke. You're not a powerful man. You're not a threat to me. He doesn't even bother to kill Jesus. It would be like swatting a fly. He says, dress him up in purple. Purple is the color of the Roman Emperor Tiberius. Only one man in the whole Roman Empire is allowed to wear this color. It comes from a rare seashell in the Mediterranean. But they find a purple cloth and they drape it around Jesus. They strip off his clothes. Jesus, the great Messiah, the awaited prophet, the man who will liberate the Jews, the hope of every poor person in all of the 4 kingdoms, is standing there, unable to do anything. People are punching him in the face. He's naked. He has a little purple cloth around his shoulders. Herod says, send him back to Pilate. This man is a worthless joke. They drag him back to Pilate. Pilate is, he has been thinking. He knows Antipas might pull a trick like this. So he has another trick ready. The Roman governor, by tradition, can release one important prisoner for the Passover holiday. And the Jewish people, the people of the city, get to choose which prisoner. There's a major prisoner that Pilate is holding, and he wants to crucify him, but he's afraid of the reaction of the people. The prisoner's name is Barabbas. He has murdered many people. He has led a small uprising. He's considered a threat by the Romans, but they're afraid to kill him. So Pilate has a good idea. He comes out to the crowd. The crowd is growing. The crowd is made of now not just the religious authorities, the people of Jerusalem who cheered Jesus as he entered the gates on Palm Sunday, who threw their clothing before his donkey, who put the palm leaves on the ground. There's a reaction starting to happen. Word is going around town. This man is a joke. This man is an imposter. This man is not holy. This man is not powerful. He is not what he claimed to be. The Romans dragged him to Herod's palace. Herod stripped him. Herod dragged him back through the city naked with a little piece of cloth. He's not a miracle worker. He's not divine. He doesn't have power. The people are frustrated. The people are disappointed. They had great hopes. And like public opinion anywhere, suddenly it shifts 180 degrees. They begin to hate this man who gave them so much hope and who is obviously just a normal person. And so when Pontius Pilate announces, I will release to you a prisoner as by tradition, you can choose, but I allow you to choose Jesus. I know you love him. The people are angry. The people don't want this joke, this failure, this liar. They say, give us Barabbas. Pilate is amazed. He says, no, I will give you Jesus. I agree. I can do it. They say, we don't want him. He says, well, what do you want me to do with Jesus? They say, kill him. He's a joke. He's an imposter. He's not King David come back to us. He's standing there naked, speechless. He can't even defend himself. If he can do miracles, why is he here? Pontius Pilate has another problem. His wife has had many dreams about Jesus. The night before especially, she warned him, don't get involved, don't kill him. He's an extraordinary being. But Pilate is now backed into a corner, and I think he gets very angry at the situation. He says, bring me a bowl of water. They bring a silver bowl of water, and he stands in front of the people, and he washes his hands, and he says, I don't have responsibility for this good man's blood. It's on your head. They say, we'll take it. He's a failure. He's an imposter. He's not a holy man. And so I think Pilate becomes now, his brutal side comes out. He's in a position where he has to kill this man now. And he's angry that he has been put into this position. He hates the Jewish people. So he says, okay, we'll do it your way. And he calls two of his men. He says, tie him to a stake. He says, get a scourge. The people can't believe it. A scourge is a special whip. It has a long stick. It has leather straps, many. Each strap has metal and sharp pieces of bone tied into it. He says, scourge him. This is 39 by tradition strokes of the scourge, this whip. It's so difficult to whip a man with a scourge that two soldiers have to take turns. It rips the flesh off of your body. Many prisoners die before they can get to the cross to be killed. And they whip Jesus with the scourge in front of the people. And at the end, Pilate is angry. He says, stand him up in front of the people. The soldiers hold him up. He says, look what you got. Look, is this what you wanted? Pilate leaves. He tells the soldiers, take him in the cafeteria. They have a large cafeteria for the soldiers in the fortress. He says, let the boys have some fun with him. He's a joke. He's a loser. Everyone hates him, the Jews and the Romans too. These soldiers are frightened, frustrated, bored between wars like all soldiers. Now they have an authorized chance to really give it to a Jew. So first they spit on him and beat him. He's already half dead. Then they take a piece of red robe, put it around him, strip whatever clothes he had. He's standing naked again, dead, bleeding everywhere. And they make a crown from some very terrible thorns, jujube thorns. They shove it on his head. They put a big oaken stick in his hand. They say, oh, king, and they bow to him. Then they take the stick and they beat him as hard as they can. The people are dismayed. The disciples are nowhere. Then they take him to be crucified. They put back on a single cloth around his waist. The place of crucifixion is called Golgotha. It's to the west of the city gates on a hill. It's almost 3 miles away. By tradition, the prisoner must carry his cross to the crucifixion. The upright part is dug into the ground. The crossbar is the part that the prisoner carries. It weighs about 125 pounds. It's 6 feet long. They put it on Jesus' back. There are large crowds of people lining the streets. Thousands of Jews from all over the Mediterranean, Egypt, Greece, Turkey, Syria, Italy, Rome, they are all watching what's going on. This man's to be killed. He starts to drag the wood down the street. He collapses. The soldiers grab a Jew from Egypt, I think. He doesn't know what's happening. They say, you carry the top of the cross. And Jesus walks behind. Jesus is losing it. He's going ranting at the crowd. The women from Galilee are reaching out, crying to him. He looks back. He snarls at them. He says, if you think this is bad, wait till you see what happens to this city. And in their lifetimes, 90,000 Roman troops attack Jerusalem after a small uprising, and they tear it down, every single stone. Herod's temple, as big as, we said, I think, 6 football stadiums, is destroyed to the last rock. The elders of the temple are dragged to Rome and killed. The treasure of the temple is offered to the emperor. And they reach the place of the crucifixion, and they start to nail Jesus. It's a large iron spikes. They don't put it through your hand. They put it through your wrist because there's a nerve there. And they nail him to the top piece. Then they raise it, and then they nail your legs to the lower piece. There's a terrible addition to the cross. There's a small foot platform where you can stand your feet, which are already nailed. The prisoner will struggle to keep himself up with his feet, because if he relaxes, he will suffocate. In the Roman Senate, people like Cicero have even asked the emperor to ban crucifixion. It's just too cruel. A man will stand for 12, 15 hours, dying. Crows and other beasts will come and peck out his eyes. So Jesus is put up with two other people, two murderers, who are crucified next to him. They spit at him. These people are dying. They are as disappointed and angry as the other people in Jerusalem. You said you would free us. You said you were divine. You said you had power. Look at you. People stream out of the city. People stand around the cross to spit and yell insults. You said you would help us. You said we could escape death itself. You said we would come to a kingdom. Look at you. Jesus doesn't say anything. At some point, he cries out, "I thirst." Somebody puts a sponge on a stick, pours vinegar on it. He can't drink it. And he's on the cross for 6 hours. He's thinking. He's dying of the pain and the loss of blood from the scourge. And no one comes to his aid. And then, just as evening comes, as the holy day begins, Shabbat, he raises his hand and he cries to heaven. In the Gospel of St. John, John has cleaned up his last words. "Oh, I give my spirit to my Father." Matthew has the real last words. In the earliest manuscripts, they are in Jesus' own language, Hebrew, Aramaic. And it says, "Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani." God, God, why did you forsake me? And in the last moment of his life, he loses his faith. He's a loser in every way. He has failed in every way. And what about his disciples, the people he trained? There's Judas Iscariot, sold his teacher for the price of a shirt. There's a man who's been trained by his lama for all those years. He loses faith. He can't believe what he's done. He goes to the religious authorities. He says, take back the money. I did a wrong thing. They say, you keep it. He throws it on the ground. They refuse to touch it. He goes and hangs himself. What about the other disciples? What about the good ones? Peter, James, John, who went with him to the Garden of Gethsemane. Oh, your teacher might be taken tonight to be killed. Please keep watch. They fall asleep. Jesus is concerned. He comes back, wakes them up. Please, watch. It's danger tonight. Yes, yes, yes. He goes back to his prayers. They fall asleep again. At the Last Supper, he serves them. He washes their feet. Imagine a holy lama like Ken Rinpoche coming to the door, taking off your shoes and licking your feet as you enter. It's the same thing in their culture. No one says no. They just let him do it. Around the table at the Last Supper the night before, Jesus says, they're going to take me. They're going to kill me. Here, every time you eat something, think of me. I'll be inside of you, my body. Every time you drink something, think of me. I'll be inside of you, my blood. What is their answer? Oh, teacher, who among us will be the greatest after you leave? Jesus says, I'm going to be killed. The man who is going to betray me is sitting at this table. He's the man who's dipping his bread into the soup right now. They look. It's Judas. Judas says, is it me? Jesus says, you have said it. No one tries to stop Judas. No one tries to restrain him. He just walks out. Peter says, don't worry, Jesus. If they take you, they have to take me too. Jesus turns to him. He says, in this single night before dawn, you will tell people 3 times you never heard of me. Peter says, never. I will die with you. They will have to crucify me also. After the mob comes from the religious authorities and takes Jesus, every disciple runs away. Peter is afraid, but he follows from a distance. At the house of the high priest, he stays outside. He pretends to be just an innocent bystander. A woman comes to him and says, I can swear I saw you with him in the temple. Peter can see Jesus through the doorway. Jesus is being questioned and beaten. Peter says, I never heard of him. An hour later, another woman comes. I can swear I saw you with him. Peter says, I swear I didn't know him. She says, you speak Galilean. Your accent is Galilean. You must be one of his people. He says, no, I never heard of him. This is the man who Jesus has chosen to lead the church after his death. This is the cornerstone. His name is Petra, stone. For that reason, Jesus has given it to him. This is the most important disciple. Another man comes, almost dawn now. He says, I've seen you. Who are you? I am the brother of Malchus. Who is Malchus? Malchus is the servant of the high priest whose ear was cut off by a follower of Jesus last night. You look like the man. Peter says, I swear to God, I never met this man. Jesus turns from inside the room. He looks out at Peter. The rooster crows. He collapses. He leaves. He hides. He cries. He has lost faith in the last minute of his life. The disciples are dispersed, hiding. No one has come to help him. Everything is collapsed. All the hopes are gone. All the teachings don't count for anything. And that's how it was on Friday and Saturday. The whole day today, yesterday. So, today I thought it would be good to talk about failure. We've been talking about good deeds. We've been talking about sending your good karma to other people. But we have many more failures. We have many more mistakes. And we can use them. We can use our mistakes. Holy Lama Ken Rinpoche, when he first gave the secret teachings in this country that I know of, there was a small group of disciples. One woman raised her hand. She said, Rinpoche, are you going to give us secret vows? Rinpoche said, yes. She said, I heard that if you break those vows, you can go to the lowest hell. Rinpoche said, that's true. And so she said, then why do you give us these vows? We can't keep them. Rinpoche said, that's true. She said, then we'll go to the lowest of the hells. He said, well, if you do, you can tell all the other people you're there because you broke your highest vows. I'm not like you other slobs here. I'm not here because I murdered someone or committed adultery or stole from people. I'm here because I broke my tantric vows, and you can say it proud. Then he said, come on. When you fail in your spiritual practice, it's because you've been practicing. The Kalmyk Mongolians have a saying, I don't remember it, it's a Kudmush Uga, Moha Uga, it's something like that. It means people who never do any work can't make any mistakes. We can't make mistakes in our practice if we're not practicing. We are trying to be good people, and we are failing often, more times than we succeed. We try to practice the perfection of patience, one of the highest bodhisattva commitments. I will tell you openly and honestly, I listened to the wonderful Asian Classics Institute tapes of this same book, Bodhisattva Charivatara, the guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life. Christy and I listened to them on Sundays. I was inspired by this Lama, this American Lama, describing the perfection of patience so well. We turned off the tape recorder. We got up to prepare something like a meal, and I got upset and angry about some stupid small thing. Then I thought, you just got through listening to 2 long hours of patience, spoken by yourself, and so inspiring, and then you can't control your own heart in the next 15 minutes. I tell you honestly, I have gone to Sojong. This is the holy ritual prayer for cleaning our bad karma. And I sit down in the among my other fellow retreatants, and I start to think of maybe a time that I got angry. And just thinking about it during the ceremony of purification, I get angry. You get angry purifying your anger. We're hopeless. I'm not kidding. We say we're going to practice giving. We go to our yurt. Someone dear to us is in town for a few days. We dig through the junk that's been piling up, and the best things we keep on the altar because they're ours. We know that we will get to keep them if they're on the altar. And then the stuff we don't like so much goes in a bag down on the side. And when a friend is in town, you dig through the bag. We can't be generous. We have obstacles in our hearts. We can't give the things we really like. Holy Lama and I watched the Pope on television one day speaking at a large stadium near New York, and he said, don't give people your extras. Don't give people the things you don't like. Give them what's dear to you. Give them the major part of your income. Rinpoche was amazed. He said, oh, that's perfect. We can't do it. We say we're going to respect other people's things, and then the first time we need something, we take. We live in a country where no one needs anything much. We have everything. But the minute there's a shortage, I remember the gasoline shortages. I was in India. I watched people fight over half a gallon of turpentine for their stove, kerosene. I said, Americans never do that. We are more noble. I came back during the oil crisis. People were shooting each other in the gasoline lines. We are generous as long as we have extra. We don't steal as long as we don't need. But the minute we need, all the ethics, all the bodhisattvas code goes out the window. We won't suffer for the sake of honoring our vows. We're all like that. We say, I'm going to practice the bodhisattva perfection of meditation. We sit down. Maybe we don't even sit down. maybe we figure out an excuse not to do it. We do that. The retreatants do that constantly. We have 24 hours a day to meditate. We're constantly trying to come up with new excuses not to. Then when you finally sit down, your mind wanders off, and you sit there for an hour, and you get up feeling great. You haven't thought about the subject once. We go to prayers, holy, higher, secret prayers together. We recite holy, ancient texts. And all I can think about is the desserts after. We'll get to share Vajrayogini's cake tonight. I wonder what kind the care ladies have sent. We do prayers together. Everyone's wondering, did anyone notice I can do the Tibetan? We go to teach people. If they listen to us for a while, we start feeling like a big shot. People start coming and treating us like a lama. Deep down inside, we like it. We get addicted to it. We start to criticize other teachers. We start to get angry if people don't come and bow to us and give us some nice thing. It's our nature. Admit it. We all have it. We say we're going to do retreat in Arizona. In New York, we can't stop dreaming about the days in Arizona. In Arizona, we can't stop dreaming about the days in New York. It's true. We make so many mistakes. We fail at our practice. But there's a background. We are trying. We are really trying. I used to work in the diamond company. I went to my holy Yamantaka? No, I don't think so. Chakrasamvara boss. And I said, he said, you got that large order ready yet? It's like Montgomery Ward's 30,000 diamonds. I said, no, I don't. He said, he starts to look like he's going to have a heart attack. I said, I can't get the stones. This is like a mantra in the business for us. I can't get the stones. He says, did you try everybody? I said, I tried everybody. I even, there's a guy named Saritej, Yogesh Madhvani. I'll never forget you. He's got the stones. He says, well, buy them. I said, we can't agree on the price. I said, he says, I'll never forget it. He says, how much does he want? He wants $293 a carat. And so, how much did you offer him? I said, of course I offered him $250. Then I went to $260. He won't move a dollar. I went to $270. I went to $280. This is humiliating for a buyer. You swore they weren't worth more than $250. I went to $292.50. I'm not kidding. He's dragging me through the mud. But I have too much pride to go the extra 50 cents. That's why Montgomery Ward is not going to get their diamonds. The boss pats me on the back. He says, you're wonderful. I'm amazed. I'm in awe. My jaw drops. What do you mean? You're going to lose this order. He says, you're brilliant. He says, you found the market. I said, what do you mean? He says, when you get that close and you break a deal, you know what the thing is worth. If he won't take 250 or 60 or 70 or 80 or 90, you know it's goddamn worth 293. I never thought of it. He says, you found the market. Diamonds don't cost anything. They're just stupid little rocks. If somebody wants them, they have value. If nobody wants them, they're worth nothing. And you found this invisible line called the market. You found the market. It's brilliant. He says, now, he taught me for years. He said, now, when you walk out of here, I want you to understand something. Every time we have a large order in the future, you break half the deals. You lose half the parcels of diamonds that come in. Then you know you're at the market. You know you're at the edge of the border where you can just barely buy the thing. And that's how we make money. And so I think of my practice like that. When you are failing, you say, there's one person in this group I really can't stand. I've tried. I've really tried. My patience breaks at this one person. Then you should stay with them. You should keep them close to you. Then you know you're in the market. You see, when your patience is breaking half the time, and your patience is kept half the time, then you're right there in the market. You're right where you're supposed to be. If you go to a retreat and you break down half the day, and you're crying and feel crazy, then you know you're in the market. When you have something to give to someone and you're walking over to their yurt and you can't decide whether you should turn back or not, you're in the market. This is the market, and this is where we should stay. Our failures are a sign that we are on the edge. We are right at the edge of our envelope. We are stretching as far as we can. When you fail in your vows, when you fail in your holy bodhisattva activity, when you fail to be a good person because you're struggling to be a good person, you are in the market of being a good person. You don't have to worry about anything. You'll never go to a hell realm like that because you're struggling to be good. The boss should pat you on the back. You're in the market. You're really in the market. People who never fail in their practice are not trying. People who never lose patience with other people are just avoiding the people who upset them. So when you fail, carry your head proud. You have something to dedicate. I think it's very holy practice to dedicate our failures because we have failed in the line of duty. Other people fail who've never heard of bodhisattva activity. Other people fail who've never heard of vows. Other people commit bad deeds constantly, all day long, without the slightest hesitation. They never heard of the 10 Commandments, or they never heard of the 10 non-virtues, and they could care less. So when you fail, be proud. You failed because you are trying. People who don't try don't say, I failed. And dedicate that trying. There's 3 ways to dedicate it. Like we said with the good karma. One is external. One is trying to work with outside causes, things that have already happened. One is like trying to work with cement that's already hard. You meet someone you don't like, and you try to reason with them. The reason you're meeting a person you don't like is because you did the same thing to someone else before. It's too late to reason with them. You know that. You can talk to them. You can try to convince them that they are doing something wrong. It's too late. If it works, be happy. If it fails, be happy. It was too late anyway. It's not under your control, really. So bad things come to you. Look at it like that. The result has already come out. The cement is already hard. It's too late, really. Try to make things better, but don't be surprised or upset if nothing works out. You can also work at a level I like to think of as soft cement or half-hardened cement. I like this practice. It's very similar to the momos we talked about yesterday, the dumplings. Yesterday we said you can do a good karma, do a good project, work hard. Maybe it takes 5-10 years. Then in the last hour, in the last day, give it away to someone else. Let them have the credit. Slipped into the background. Give it away right there. Give it to others. Let other people have it. It's a very powerful practice. You can do the same with negative karmas. I worked in a truck company when I was in college. I didn't have enough money to go to the college. I had some scholarship, but they required us to work if we didn't have enough money. And so I worked in a trucking company. We had to carry mostly big tents like this one around New Jersey and set them up for people, and we had about 7 or 8 big trucks, and we learned to drive them, and oftentimes you'd be on a work crew. The truck is an open truck. There are 3 guys on the crew, and there's only room in the front for 2, and it's cold, New Jersey winter. It might be snowing. Someone has to sit in the back of the truck, open. And there was this rule passed down, I don't know how many generations of students, but it was a beautiful rule. No one sits in the back alone. So one of the guys up front would get out of the warm truck and go sit in the back unnecessarily with the freezing guy. And this was a code of honor that we had. In a big corporation, it's the same. We had a code of honor among the vice presidents. No one ever spoke it. We just knew. Generally, in a large corporation, there might be 5 or 6 vice presidents. We were board members. We could sit around the board of directors table, and normally you are blaming each other for all the things, and competing with each other. But when someone does something really bad, when someone makes a really serious mistake, I remember one person packed up a large parcel of diamonds and gold, very valuable, worth a considerable amount of the company's money, and sent it uninsured to the wrong address. And there's no way to prove it was ours. And it came back later, but at the time, this person had almost ruined the company. And something strange happens in that boardroom. All the vice presidents, they come around that person and they protect them. And they support them. And everyone, it's unbelievable. The boss says, whose fault was this? And 5 people say, mine. In the monastery, we call it Kiduk Chikpa. Just say the word, it's beautiful. Kiduk. Kiduk Chikpa. When you join the monastery, they take you into a special room up on the upper floors of the temple. You stand before the abbot and the monastery secretary. They take out a huge scroll. They say, what's your college? I say, Gyerong. And they say, what's your nationality? I said, American, first American. Then they say, are you accepted by the monks? Yes. Then you can enter the Kiduk Chikpa. Ki means happy. Duk means sad. Ki means things are going well. Duk means things are screwed up. Chikpa means one for all and all for one. It means once your name goes on the scroll, then whatever good happens at Serame Monastery, we all enjoy it together. And when a disaster happens, we all suffer together as one. We support each other in the good times, and we support each other in the bad times. And they say, do you swear? And I say, I swear. And then they shake your hand and they say, Yo Kiduk Chikpa, welcome to the family. And so we have to share each other's failures. This is the partly wet cement way. It could be anything. In our yurt, it happens like this. One of us picks up one of those Chinese thermoses. It could be any thermos. It slips out of our hands, and these are made of a special glass, the inside sleeve, and then it has this amazing quality like a cannon. It shoots very fine glass splinters around the whole urine. And this is Kiduk Chikpa. You have a choice. You can stand there and yell at the other person. Or you can say, we're Kiduk Chikpa. And both people get down on their knees and spend a few hours cleaning up glass slivers. This is a way in real life to share other people's problems and failures. When you see someone make a mistake, a big mistake, go to them and figure out a way to share the responsibility. Our natural tendency is the opposite. We want to divorce ourselves from this person's side as soon as they've made a big mistake. But when someone has done something really wrong, when there's been a real failure, then the others of us in this group, others of us who are trying to practice together, we should stand with them. We should say, it's our fault. So look out for ways that you can help be kidu chikpa. Try to find ways to share other people's failures with them. And it's a very beautiful kind of dedication of karma. I'll describe the inside wet cement version, and then we'll have refreshments. This is Tonglen. This is the Len part of Tonglen. Taking other people's karma onto yourself. In the heart chakra, in the subtle energy center at your heart, there are asankhya vasana bis, countless mental seeds stored, ready to go off, like tiny little crystals. They are not physical, they are not mental, they are energy, they are potential. And so the holy practice of Tonglen is when you know someone else has made a bad karma, or it looks to us like that, which is all we can ever say, then try to imagine that you could take away that karma from their heart. Breathe in deeply. Imagine that the bad karma seed is coming out of their throat and their mouth like a little evil black tiny spot. And then when you breathe in, imagine that it comes in through your nose, down your throat, into your heart chakra, and enters that infinitely tiny drop of primal consciousness. And then those of you who have learned this practice know you must destroy it in the moment that it enters the drop of your inner consciousness. There's a flash of light and the evil seed is destroyed forever. You don't take the seed, you don't keep the seed. It never ripens for you or anyone. This is very important, not to let it stay there, not even in your visualization, not even in your mental picture of it. As soon as it enters the edge of the sphere of the infinitely small drop of consciousness, you destroy it with a burst of white light. So what's the good? Can you take other people's karma away? No. Prove it. I'm here. I suffer. I don't know who else here is suffering. I am suffering. I suffered today already. If there is a being who could take away my bad karma, and if that being was compassionate, which they should be, I wouldn't have suffered today. It proves that karma cannot be taken away by other people, or we wouldn't be here. So why should I pretend I'm taking other people's bad karma away? When you work in the subtle drop of consciousness, you are manipulating simply by the focus of your own mind. When your mind focuses in that drop, it can actually move things around. It's the only way to move things there. The very act of focusing at your heart chakra, even if you have no idea what it's like, keep trying. Keep trying over and over. It may take years before you really find it. That's okay. If you didn't try, you wouldn't see it even after years. And then you go inside and you start to, with your focus, with your concentration, to actually manipulate the karmic seeds there. And it's very important to understand that all the things you can see, all the things you even think, are being projected from this drop. So if we can go into the drop, if we can manipulate the seeds there, everything in the world will change. Are you saying I could stop a war on the other side of the world by fooling around with my inner drop of consciousness at my heart chakra? Yes, that's what I'm saying. It is happening in your world because of some violence you did. That's the way to go to paradise. That's the way we get to heaven. It's much more powerful to work with wet cement. And so, it's not a stupid exercise to imagine, as we dedicate our good karmas to suck in other people's bad karmas, Kiduk Chikpa, we share your pain and your happiness together. We are all one family now. And you suck in the bad karma and you destroy it in your heart chakra. And this profoundly affects the future of the entire world. This profoundly affects the future of the entire world. Oh, take a break. So now we'll go to Master Shantideva's work, the guide for bodhisattvas. We're all trying to be bodhisattvas. And we get suggestions from him about where to send our good karmas, our good karmic seeds like little crystals from our hearts to other hearts, other people's hearts. I changed the order of the verses to fit this teaching and, frankly, to fit the story of Jesus' crucifixion. But the numbers of the verses are there. And today our theme is failure. And Master Shantideva is going to send the good karma of writing his book to people who have failed in an ultimate way. Could you read the first verse?
I don't know how many realms of hell there are hidden in our world. But by this power, may every person trapped in one instead find joy in the joy of the heaven of joy.
Master Shantideva begins to send his good karmic seeds out with the power of his own mind to people in the hell realms. I have to try to convince you in the next few minutes that hell realms exist. It's not popular to speak of them. You are considered foolish by many people if you say you believe in the hell realms. Other people will say you're just following the old books. That's negative thinking. Other people just say the world is wonderful. There can't be places like hell realms. I keep thinking of the lady at my office in New York. One lady was pregnant. She was dealing with large amounts of topaz. We were very concerned for her health, the health of her child, because it is made with, the color is imparted by radiation. And the stones stay hot for different lengths of time, depending on the kind of radiation you use. But you have to try to imagine the danger of radiation. One tiny particle in a collision is freed from the substance, like a small piece of gem on your finger, and it easily cuts through your skin, and it reaches a single cell in the child's first the development of the child, and it goes inside the cell, penetrates the cell wall, and it hits a part of the chromosomes, and it damages an infinitely tiny piece of the DNA chain in a single cell. All cancers start this way also. It's a single loose atomic particle striking a single cell. It's the same with karma. When the DNA chain is damaged, then the child will grow wrong. And you can imagine in the time of 2 or 3 seconds in the womb, this DNA has been damaged, and then for 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years, this baby has a defect, a serious defect. So the idea that a tiny, infinitely small damage in a seed can cause decades of pain, real pain, to the child and his family, her family, it's a real, it's not a made-up thing. We know these things happen. The woman's child was damaged. Karma is the same, a tiny imprint on that infinitely small dot of consciousness in your heart. Some These seeds are managed by thought alone. These seeds are planted. These seeds are moved around. These seeds' content is determined only by the focus of your own thoughts. And so if you do something very violent, mentally, if your intention is very negative towards another person, then a seed is planted in your heart. DNA is damaged. Karmic DNA is damaged. And then it matures like any seed, takes time to grow. And then the seeds which are creating our reality, this tent, this desert, this sky, the earth you are sitting on, the body you are in, the thoughts you are having, all of that energy is coming from the tiny drop in your heart, and it's wearing out because it's happening. Every time an hour goes by, thousands of good deeds you did in the past are their energy is finished. And when their energy is gone, we call it death. Try very, very hard. Try hard to know death is not an outside thing. It's a change in your consciousness. It's a change in your perceptions. That's all. The images being presented to your mind by the tiny karmic seeds wear out. And then you see something different. You see what the next seed in line offers to your mind. And if that seed is malignant, then you see a hell realm. People try to look for hell realms. Oh, we'll dig a tunnel under the earth. It's not like that. It's a change in your perceptions. If you can watch a clock go from 3 to 4 o'clock, you can go from this realm to a hell realm. It's the same. You have to think about it a lot. So, Master Shantideva says, first, I send my good karma to people in the hell realms. In the hell realms, time slows down. You know, when you are in pain, time slows down. And so the perception of time there is a long, long time. The karmic seeds don't allow your body to die. People say, what a silly idea. You mean you could have your head cut off and then get back up? Yes. It's a silly idea. Oh, where do you think your life came from? What's keeping this meat alive? Where does life itself come from? How can a small bag of guts and bones outlive a car or a house? How? Where does life come from? It's a seeds, karmic seeds. They can do anything. It's not crazy to believe that you could be cut into pieces in a hell realm and then come back into another body, whole, and be cut up again and again and again. Because you're here, you're alive. Your body is as much as an impossibility as those bodies are. really read a modern physics book, Stephen Hawking's great book, Brief History of Time, is classic. You should read it. One of the holy teachers made me read it. I didn't want to read it, but he's very honest at the end. He says we can't explain why things happen. There are contradictions which are impossible. Particles move like light itself moves like a particle sometimes, and then moves like a wave sometimes. It almost acts as if it were two contradictory things at the same time. We can't tell you even the position of a particle and tell you its speed at the same time. This is called uncertainty principle. It's a fancy way of saying we can't figure it out. Einstein himself introduced an idea called the cosmological constant. It's a made-up fiction, and he admitted it, to explain things he couldn't explain. It's a big part of the theory of relativity. And it's, frankly, a fiction, and he said it's a fiction, but it has to be there or my idea is wrong. Modern physicists threw out the cosmological constant and replaced it with their own fictions. And they read his book. He's very frank. These are fictions. We don't understand. How can life be produced? We don't know. The forces which exist in balance to create human life are beyond possibility. The very energy of an electron in relation to the other particles, if it were a millionth of a percentage different, life would be impossible. We can't explain why it came out like that. So hell realms exist. I could give you the historical argument. Oh, Christians also say that. The Jewish scriptures also say that. The Muslim scriptures also say that. Dante's description and Arya Nagarjuna's description are the same. But I think if you're an intelligent person, it's more powerful to explain the real cause of hell, which is the seeds in our own minds. Then Master Shantideva says, may their seeds be changed. May the hell realms become the heaven of bliss. This is a Buddha paradise. Enlightened realm. He sends his good karmas to them for that. Next verse.
May those who freeze in the cold of hell be covered in warmth. May the infinite showers of gentle rain fall from the vast bodhisattva clouds to cool the searing pain of those who live there in fire.
Thank you. Nice job. I'll tell you some tantric secrets. What the heck? We have three principal subtle channels in our bodies. The two smaller ones on the two sides and a larger one in the middle, running roughly down the area of the backbone. all your experiences of something hot, of motion, are ultimately triggered from the channel on the right side. Your perception of a sun is being emanated by the energy of the channel on the right side. Those of you who have studied emptiness deeply, you know the idea of grasping to things as self-existent, the idea that things might come from their own side and not from us. Every time you think that in a certain way, then that energy on the right side is moving in a certain malignant way, a wrong way. And ultimately, that has created all our perceptions of moving objects and the sun itself, the heat within our bodies. On the left side, the other half, ignorant ideas about the nature of our own minds, triggering forces which have created objects like the moon itself. Your perception of the moon is an image presented to your mind through the influence of this channel. Due to mistakes in the past. If these subtle energies are disturbed in a serious manner by a serious negative wishes towards your fellow man, then those same energies create two forms of hell realms. One, the hells which are extremely hot. They are huge dark caverns filled of screaming people running across iron ground which is red hot. There's nowhere to go. They just run and scream. In the hells caverns above that, you can't find them. No one made them. Do you think Lord Buddha was a fool? Do you think he thought some construction company went underground and built these places? They are being produced by your own mind, and they are real, therefore. In the upper caverns, people just sit in snow and ice and scream, whimper in pain. So Master Shantideva is sending his good karma. May the people in the cold hells be blanketed in a sweet warmth. May the people in the hot hells, may this beautiful rain descend on them. From where? From Bodhisattva clouds. What's a Bodhisattva cloud? It's the simple action of taking care of other people. It's the simple action of destroying the ignorant selfishness that ruins our lives. Next verse.
May the forest of falling leaves of knives turn for those who live there into a pleasure grove of shady bowers. May the daggers of the trunks of the trees of Shamali sprout as the wish-giving tree instead.
Surrounding the caverns of hell, there are other hells like concentric circles. People on the hot hells, they see at a distance trees, and they believed that they could run there and find some comfort. They run under the trees, and then the leaves become like large knives, like razors, and they drop down and they cut the people's bodies, cut off little chunks. It is a creation of the of former very evil, negative thoughts about others. People came to you for protection, and you failed them. You refused them. I want to be clear that if you are really trying, and you fail to give help and protection to others, you don't have to worry. The malignant seed won't be perfect. This seed can only come if you give up the wish to help. This seed can only happen if you fail and you don't care that you failed. Those of us who fail and go home and feel bad, you don't have to worry. The pureness, the purity of your sadness will clean that karma. So really, we just have to keep wishing we could protect others and try as hard as we can and not refuse anyone up to our capacity. Then we fail and we know we're in the market. There's a tree in the house called Shalmali. Shalmali means a kind of a dagger. If you've ever seen palm trees up close, they have these sharp daggers of wood pointing up at near the top. They're like swords. They turn downwards and they cut the people open. You have a choice of climbing up against the swords or dropping to the dogs. When you get to the top and the dogs go away, you want to climb down the sword's reverse. This means the karma of promising help to someone, giving them hope, and then changing. Someone comes to you for hope, for help, and instead you take advantage of them. Again, this seed can't be planted for this hell if you are struggling to be good. We are all trying, struggling to be good. People here, all of us, who sit at night in our yurts and wonder why we can't be better people. Just the wondering, just the wishing we could be better changes the karmic seeds of failing others. And they will produce a sweet result. Next verse.
May the caverns of hell suddenly echo forth with the soft, sweet song of the dove and the nightingale, ruby-throated sparrow, graceful swans, birds of every kind drawn to the gentle waters that spring up instantly there, covered with lotuses whose delicate fragrance fills the air.
Perhaps the worst thing in the hell realms is the sound of millions of people screaming. And it's a the poetry is very powerful. The idea that suddenly the screaming stops and people are listening, and suddenly they hear these beautiful songs of birds, every kind of sweet song of a bird that you can imagine. And some of them are the songs of birds which are only attracted to lakes and ponds. And then suddenly, in the middle of the fire, a pond appears, and beautiful trees, and birds are landing in huge flocks and singing beautiful songs, and the fires are receding, and beautiful huge lotuses are growing out of the cool water. Master Shantideva is manipulating mental images in his own heart chakra to try to actually change the reality of hell. It's a very powerful action, more powerful than anything any of us can do externally. Next verse.
May the heaps of burning embers of fire become piles of precious jewels, and the red-hot glowing iron floor, the ground of a new world sparkling in crystal light. May the mountains that slam together, crushing the crowds of helpless people between them, turn to the palace temples of heaven built with blissful Buddhas.
So, Master Shantideva, he is going into his own heart chakra. He is entering his own drop of consciousness. He is manipulating infinitely tiny karmic seeds by focus itself, by the act of focus itself. And he is imagining that the embers and the hot coals in hell turn to jewels. There are special mountains in the hells. People are herded in huge masses between the mountains, and then the mountains slam together and crush them. The mountains open again, the people rise again, the mountains crush them again. I think many of our very basic phobias, like afraid to be in a small place or afraid to be in a high place, I think they are vestiges of our former hell lives. We have basic instinctual fears, even of death, which I believe are driven by a deep unconscious knowledge of what can happen after. And so he's praying that these huge mountains should turn into beautiful crystal palaces, and inside there are just Buddhas singing, and hell becomes a paradise. The very act of imagining it changes seeds in your heart chakra. The world begins to change itself. It's an incredibly powerful way of helping others. Next verse.
In the moment that I speak, may the great rain of putrid filth and stones of solid fire, knives and spears, transform into a soft, steady shower of fragrant flower petals. And in the hells of anger, where people snatch up rocks and sticks to gash one another open, may they instead gather up armfuls of petals, laughing, tossing over each other.
There's a special part of hell. It's one of the easier parts of hell. When you're born there, You just assume a body maybe like ours. And the minute you open your eyes, there's someone running at you with a stick or a rock, and they are trying to beat your brains out. And due to your karmic seeds, you're filled with anger. You search, you try to find any kind of a stick or a stone, and you pick it up and you fight back. And you can imagine a vast plain, burning plain, dark, huge groups of people just trying to bash each other's brains out with rocks all day, all night. No rest, no stop. When someone dies, they just get up again. That's impossible. Your life is impossible. It comes from anger and violence and competitive thoughts towards each other. Why are vows number 8 and 9 of 10, the 10 non-virtues, why did they make it into the top 10 out of 84,000? Number 8 is being unhappy that other people have gotten something nice. Number 9 is being happy that trouble has come to other people. We must be having some version of these thoughts about 1,000 times a day if it's in the top 10. And if you truly examine your heart, you will find those thoughts there even at this moment. And so, in a way, we are already picking up rocks and trying to smash each other's heads. But just the intention, just the wish that other people should have problems, which I openly confess I have all the time, creates a malignant seed, and it ripens into this hell realm. If you fight it, how? With your book, with your diary, with watching your vows and your own heart from hour to hour. It doesn't take much. Just write down the truth. I had a thought about this other person that I'm envious of. I was hoping they would have a little trouble. The very act of focusing on the true condition of your own heart with honesty ruins that nice evil seed and makes it into a beautiful seed. Do your diaries. It doesn't change us overnight. You don't have to be 100% sincere. You can be tired and scribble down something half-true. But the very act of looking at your own heart, the very act of going into your mind and admitting that we don't wish well on others, ruins that nice hell seed, and it becomes a seed for a bodhisattva. Next.
I send the awesome power of the good deed that I've done as well to all those trapped within the river that cannot be crossed, wrapped within the hell flame there, with all the skin and flesh ripped away from their bodies, the bones jutting out in the glistening white of freshly fallen snow. May this power grow their bodies back in the form of divine angels.
One of the last of the surrounding hells is a special kind of river. It doesn't flow with water, it flows with fire. Inside the flowing fire are small creatures. The closest thing in this realm is like a piranha. People are running to escape from the dogs, the very evil birds that peck at them, the special beings, guards of the hells who are trying to cut them open, and they run into this river. They can't ever reach the other side. No one ever reaches the other side. Every time they put their foot down, the fire and the creatures rip the flesh away. When they raise their leg, the bones are jutting out. And in the time it takes to lower their leg again, the skin has grown back. Master Shantideva says, when their leg comes up, may they turn into a tantric deity and fly away. He is praying for that. I think this is a statement on how we treat others who are at the very end of their rope. People come to us for help. As a bodhisattva, we have a special responsibility when another person has nowhere else to go. If you have a knowledge that a person has another option, if you know that a person has someone else to turn to, then your bodhisattva vows allow you to refer them, direct them to another person. But if you honestly know that this person has come to the end of their hope, if you honestly aware that this person has nowhere else to go, if you know that everyone else in the world would reject them, waste of time, hopeless, too much trouble, incredible trouble, maybe even crazy, then you have to take them in. We have to take care of them especially. And they have reached the river at the end of the hells. We don't always succeed. You know, I know. People have come for our help. They have been maybe difficult people with major problems. And we have tried to help them. Maybe not as much as we could, but we really tried. And it failed in the end. But if you truly wanted to help, if you truly tried to help, to your capacity, our capacity is not very big, we're not perfect, but make a special effort to help people who are beyond help. You will never have these seeds. We can fail gracefully. I'd like to take a break there, and we'll finish shortly. Now, I listen to the old tapes from New York. He always says, we're about done. And I know dinner is an hour away. Okay, we'll take a break. Next verse, please.
And then may the beings in hell take pause and wonder suddenly to themselves, why now do the henchmen of the Lord of Death and his vicious ravens and the birds of prey, why do they turn and run from us? What glorious power has turned the night of hell to golden day and smothered us within this happiness, this strength, this bliss? Who could have such power? And may they raise their eyes and see the blue of sky, and seated in it the one who holds the diamond in his hand. And then may joy spread in their hearts so powerful that it tears away every wrong they ever did. And so then they can rise and fly away with him.
It's a very beautiful image. People in this huge cavern of darkness are screaming, running from hell guards. They were not hired by some employment agency. They are a projection of the same evil, malignant, karmic seed in your own heart chakra. Like every irritating person you've ever met. And suddenly, the guards are running the other way. And suddenly all the vicious animals like Nazi German shepherds are running the other way. Suddenly the darkness in the hell turns into this glorious sunlight. Suddenly the dark cavern roof turns into a beautiful blue sky. And the people are amazed. They don't know what's happening. They look up in the sky, and there, seated on a sun, is a bodhisattva. In Sanskrit, his name is Vajradhara, also called Vajrapani. And he has driven away the hell guards and the evil animals and the darkness. And they are so happy. They have such joy that it pierces the heart chakra. It pierces the subtle drop of consciousness. It goes to the center of the karmic seed and explodes it. And they are finished with their hell life. There won't be any more hell life. There is no more hell. And they just fly away with him. It sounds a lot like some kind of a god who can just drop down into hell when he feels like it and bring everybody out. If he was a real god, and if he cared for those beings, there wouldn't be any hell realm. They would have left before it began. There is no such being, and the existence of our own suffering proves it. We have to take responsibility for our own world and our own lives. We created them. We are experiencing them. Only we can stop them. No one can change your karma for you. No one can take your karma away from you. The fact that we suffered this afternoon, I did, proves that they can't if they are compassionate. So what is Master Shantideva describing? Here begins a section where the great it's called a Nyewe Sege in Tibetan. 8 great bodhisattvas who were particularly close